Pius will be speaking on the topic personal vision and finance. I hope everyone can hear me clearly. Hello. Please, can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you very much. So, we will start by introducing Mr. Pius. Okay. Hello. Please. So, as I said earlier, we'll start by introducing Mr. Pius. Um, Mr. Pius is a person. He's an entrepreneur and a business, and I'll be reading his profile to everyone. Mr. Pius Ajugu Okechukwu is an entrepreneur, business and system analyst, and a project manager who is passionate about pioneering an economic and social transformation in Africa. He has set out to develop and identify with a number of venture and initiatives. Pius believes enthusiastic about bringing Africa to the forefront of innovation and creating opportunities to this effect in various sectors, and chairman of Picard Group, a group of startup companies that aspires to become a leading African multi-sectoral conglomerate, building innovation and globally competitive businesses. Picard is delivering value in different sectors such as agriculture and food processing, real estate, energy, healthcare, etc. Pius has consulted for private equity firms and moved on to consulting for startups and investment banks. Started Pius the Street Wise Entrepreneurship reality TV show and in its bid to promote the entrepreneurial culture in Africa. While support, he has invested in a number of startups and setups on the board of different startups. He is the co-founder of Pivot Strategies, a system analysis company based in Birmingham, in the United Kingdom. He has a strong financial analysis background and following over 8 years of experience in studying and trading the market. He has consulted for a number of hedge funds and asset management firms. He is interested in public health and healthcare policy formulations, and as part of his journey, is actualizing a formidable healthcare for the emerging markets. Mr. Pius is currently pursuing a Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery (MBBS) program in the University of Nigeria. He is a passionate learner and has utilized a number of platforms and gained internationally recognized degrees in areas of interest such as economics, project management, human resource management, to mention a few. So this is just a brief biography about the speaker who will be speaking to us. And I'll be handing over to the speaker, Mr. Pius, to present to us on the topic he wants us to gain insights on. Thank you everyone for watching. So Mr. Pius, please, I'm handing over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Vanessa, for that introduction. Please, can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
So, please, how much time do I have?
Mr. Pius, please, you have an hour for the presentation and you'll be given 10 minutes for question and answers.
All right. Thank you very much. So,
You're welcome.
appreciate Johan Africa for this opportunity to speak to you guys and share my thoughts in a couple of things, especially the topic that's been given to me. Most of the times when I'm invited to speak in some areas, or rather that the invitation was probably much later in my 80s and 70s when I have seen it all, probably, and had more experience and knowledge. Because it's all a learning in progress. We just learn a lot as we grow and as we experience more things. We get to have more knowledge and experience, and we have more things to share. However, I'll be sharing with you on this topic, based of the knowledge and the experience that I've had up to now. And I'll be talking to you on personal vision and finance. It's a very broad topic to speak. So, I mean, if I would want to go into details in talking about personal vision and personal finance, it's a whole lot of series of lectures. However, what I'll try to do in the time I have is to give you very important points, and I would like that if you would take notes, it will help you a lot. So, when we talk about our personal vision and finance, there are a lot of ways we could, look at the topic in order to probably understand it very much. We are looking at two different concepts that are related. And the first one is a personal vision. Vision looks like a buzzword to many people, especially some of us that have good religious background, where we've heard a lot about visions, and we believe that what gives life meaning per se, it's a vision. We believe in being able to foresee what the future is, and then going out to create the future that we foresee. Just in a nutshell, that is what vision would generally mean to a lot of persons. And then we looking at the second part is finance. One would want to understand, how does finance affect your vision, or how does your vision affect your finances? And some other person would want to look at it, how do I understand my personal vision, and how do I finance my personal vision? All of these whole concepts are interrelated. So I would want to also state that this topic is broadly and largely personal, right? So that is to say that my what suffices for me as a person in terms of my personal vision and finance may not be what will suffice for somebody else. But one thing is sure, or one thing is certain, is that the basics remains the same. The principles are generally the same. One would want to be able to grasp what finances are, and how to be able to have a hold. So I'll first of all try to explain what a personal vision is, because like when I started, I said that to some persons this looks generally like a buzzword. It looks like it's for certain kind of individuals that has vision, and they just probably glorify people that talk about a very very big vision or big dream or something of that sort. So, but then I want to define a vision. A vision is a concise statement of a person's aspiration, goals, and values. So it brings it down to make it clear to all of us that everybody that is probably hearing me now has a set of value, has a set of goals, and have a set of aspirations. You know, looking so you know we have to be able to introspect to be able to make something out of these, because I mean, you have to be able to understand what a vision is so that you know if you have a vision. Because I believe that everybody here, in my own assessment, everybody that's probably listening to me has a vision. But a lot of people have not taken time to understand what their vision is, and a lot of people have not asked the necessary questions, to be able to have a vision that can be accomplished. Because I mean, everybody just thinks about goals, short-term goals, or probably medium-term goals, and all of that. But if you're able to sit down and introspectively ask yourself some questions, you might be able to come up with a vision that makes sense. A vision that it's going to be achievable, and a vision that's going to be attainable. And I want to say this goes a long way to decide your financial decisions. Because if you have certain visions, then it is going to, affect your finances largely. Just the way that your finances affect almost every area of your life, you know, and your concept of money per se has a large way of affecting your life, you know, because a lot of persons would have very bizarre, what I consider bizarre view of money, and that has gone a long way to decide, to determine how they take a lot of decisions. So your perspective of your vision affects your financial decision, and the way you see money is going to affect your vision. So these concepts are quite very much related. You have to, get that, and you have to be very, very clear about it. So what we want to ask, how do I develop a personal vision? Because it looks to me that a lot of carelessness that we have in our generation now is because people just don't have a clear cut vision. They don't have a clear cut reason or pursuit. They just live the days as it comes by, and probably they make decisions as as the days come by. And this is not a very good way to live, because somebody says that if you are not shooting for anything, then anything probably would go for you. So one of the very important ways, or very important steps, that you need to cultivate a personal vision is that you have to consider your values and priorities. And this cuts across every area of your life. You have to sit down with yourself and be able to ask yourself, what are my values? What are my priorities? Not a good number of people have this courage, because I say courage because I've spoken with a lot of persons, and one thing that I have found very common with people is that somehow, because they don't have the feeling of confidence basically in themselves, they are scared to ask themselves certain questions. They are afraid to um you know get head on with some realities of their lives. And this is not good, because no matter what it is that's making you shy away from what I consider your realities, it's going to make it worse if you don't face it head on. So one of the very important things you need to be able to cultivate a personal vision is that you need to introspect. You have to be able to sit down and think, what are my values? What are my priorities? What is more important to you? And again, the way you see money also goes a long way to influence this decision or these considerations. Because a lot of persons, what really matters to them is the money. They just want to be able to make enough money. They want to be able to take care of themselves. They want to be able to, those kind of things are, values that I consider, not set right in terms of priority. Because in as much as, funds, finances are very important in, getting us to where we want to go, or, where we see ourselves. If it's all about the money, you are most likely going to, get to the wrong visions. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you discover that you may not necessarily be very happy if your vision is all driven by, maybe your desire to get money and all of that. So when you're considering your values and priorities, you have to be holistic in that approach. You have to look at, your family, your career, your education, your health, personal development, and all of that. So when you bring that to perspective on it and think of, your values areas, what are the things that matters most to you in these areas, and I would recommend that you, probably have a way to write these things down. Then you'll be able to, come up with what makes sense, as per, your values and your priorities. And then the second thing I consider very important vision is that you should look beyond now. You should be able to look into the future. What are your dreams? What are your goals? That in trying to, pick up what your goals and your dreams are, you should also make sure that you are using the right parameters, basically, because you should be able to know the goals and aspirations that are worth it and those that are not worth it. And then when setting your goals, basically, you are supposed to be specific. It doesn't suffice to just be, open-ended. You want to, attain XYZ, and you know you just have to be specific in mentioning these things that are your aspirations. These are my goals. This is what I want to achieve as per my health. This is what I want to achieve as per my, career, and all of that. And it has to be attainable, right? And being attainable does not just mean that you have to, be, mediocre, but know if this is our goals are realistic or not is basically, based on accountability. You're able to talk to somebody and all of that to, see whether you are, having a goal that is realistic or not. Then it has to be relevant and it has to be time bound, right? You have to have a set of goals that are specific, enable, relevant, and time bound. You just don't have a goal that does not have any time to it, and you just probably living your life, just wishing things. You basically have to be able to have goals that are time bound. What is it exactly that I want to achieve within the next 5 years? What it is I tend to achieve in the next 10 years? All these make up your personal visions, right? Then you have to make a personal vision statement that is concise and clear. you know when I was, trying to cultivate my own personal vision statement, I had to read a lot. I had to try to understand what are the things that, motivate me, what are the things that, I'm interested about, and what is it that will really make me happy. And one thing you discover is that, from time to time these things change, right? And that leads to probably next point I'm going to make is that your vision and your, goals as a person is bound to always change as your circumstances change, as your reality change, as your exposures changes. All these things are going to affect your personal vision. So, you have to be able to make these statements periodically. So you should be able to sit with yourself from time to time. Some people do it as New Year resolution, but my problem with that is that in trying to have yearly resolutions, you try to overestimate the things you can achieve in a year, and underestimate the thing you can achieve, more long term, like in 5 years, like in 10 years. But what is very important is that you have per time a concise and a clear statement of what you consider to be your life vision or your personal vision. This has to be very clear, and this has to be very concise, right? And you have to review it regularly because it's going to always change. At some point in my life, my life vision was to be a world-class cardiologist. Now that has changed totally because, exposure for me has changed. Priorities for me over the time has changed, and I've gotten some expertise that I probably want to explore and all of that. So we have to be very comfortable with the fact that, what you consider to be your personal vision at this time may not be what it is tomorrow. It may just change. And that has to be very, very clear to us. And, the other point I want to make, as regards your personal vision, is that you have to share them with people. You have to share them with others. Most of the time I've discovered that, there are a lot of questions that I times coming from their own questions, sometimes also coming from my own attempt to explain more clearly to somebody else vision with somebody else. And of course, people you trust and people you know that changes. But then it somehow keeps you on the track because you are going to have people that will ask you questions, people that are most likely going to, keep you on your toes, basically, as regards your vision. So with this, it's clear to us that every one of us can cultivate a personal vision. You can cultivate it. It's not an idea that comes from heaven. It's not something that it's mystical. It's not something that is some people would say supernatural. No, this is something that everybody can sit and say, I got my career. This is what I want to be in the next 10 years. This is where I want to be, and all of that. And what is most important is that it has to be inspiring. And most times, if your vision is just all about what you want to achieve for yourself, then that is not inspiring enough, because you will discover that, somehow you can always compromise your standards. If, let's say, oh, my vision is to be able to get this and all that, if it becomes stressful to achieve that for myself, I can always excuse it. But if you have a vision that is clear, concise, and it's not just about yourself, you are more likely going to have or come up with a vision that is inspiring enough for yourself, not just for any other person or every other person. Now, if you've come up with a personal vision, and I believe that some of us that are listening already have what they consider to be their personal vision, then one thing that is important also is finances. Because either ways, your finances is going to affect your vision, your actualization of that vision, and you are probably going to need some level of financing to be able to finance your vision, right? So you see that these concepts are very, very intertwined. And, a lot of people are not going to be able to, fulfill or achieve their personal vision if they are distracted with finances. If you are in a bad place financially, there is a likelihood that your personal vision, you're going to struggle with it, right? So now, the aspect of my personal finance, because of course now I'm going to talk about personal finance, and then try to see how the relationship comes to play, because you need to be financially stable to be able to achieve your vision. And this statement can be conflicted in a lot of ways. People can disagree with it, but the now says, what does it mean to be financially stable? A lot of persons think that being financially stable, means to be rich or to have a lot of money. This is an error, right? Because a lot of people can be financially stable. In fact, everybody can achieve financial stability, but not everybody will be rich. Reason is because being rich comes with a lot of, a lot of things, really, because you have to work extra hard. You probably would have to have the disposition to take a lot of risk. You should also be able to have the disposition to deal with a level of uncertainty and stress. So all of that, is what comes with being rich per se. And not everybody is wired like that, and that's fine. But what everybody should aim at getting to is being financially stable. So the question now becomes, what does it mean to be financially stable at every time? People have their concept, because most of the time, this is financial health summit. You know, um, some people do not even know what their net worth is, and that's an embarrassment, because of course when we talk about our physical health, what it looks like when your blood pressure it's at some level, that okay, this is normal, this is not normal, and all of that. But some people don't even have an understanding of what their finances is. And for them, they just feel it's embarrassing, because they just don't want to face I think also because of the kind of social pressure that we are facing in our time. People want to, when you ask somebody what one amount of money do you really need to be financially stable, people cannot give an answer to that. They don't have an answer to that. They have no idea, because they don't have an idea of what their finances is like. And like I said, this is what I consider unacceptable, because if you don't have an understanding of your finances, you are most likely going to be unstable financially. And if you are unstable financially, the truth is that your personal vision is going to suffer, whether you are wouldn't consider myself an investment expert, but probably have many, many experience. And we talk about is, and then the next thing that is important, aside cutting down your expenditures, is increasing your income stream. No shame in saying that you cannot afford XYZ, because the truth is that if you don't say that, if you don't have that, if you're not comfortable saying you cannot afford some certain lifestyle or some certain things, you discover that you'll be spending or throwing away money on things you have no business spending money in the first place. And if you keep doing that, you discover that no matter how much you earn, you know that's not going to be enough. That's not going to keep you at a place where you are financially stable. So you should be able to say, I cannot afford XYZ at this moment, and know what it is per time that you can afford, right? And then another thing is that you should be able
Think
to
you
now
need to
ask
be able
yourself, or to say to yourself that how do I afford some
what
certain
you
things
earn,
that are supposed to be
that's not going to be
a
enough. That's
necessity,
not
or
going
it's
to,
going to make
keep
your
you at a
life
place where
easier,
you are
or make
financially
you
stable.
keep in a
So you
position
should
where
be
you
able to
are
say, I
better
cannot
positioned
afford
to pursue
XYZ
what
at
your
this
vision
moment.
is, and know
So,
what
and
it is
one
per
of the things
time
I
that you
think
can
is the
afford,
best
right?
way to
And then
increase your
another thing
financial
is that you should be able to
income
now
stream
ask
to be able
yourself,
is
or to
that
say to
you
yourself
have
that
to get a skill.
how do I
This
afford
is
some
one
certain
of the
things
things that I've
that
been
are
talking
supposed
to
to be
a couple of people about
a
enough. That's
necessity,
not
or
going
it's
to,
going to make
keep
your
you at a
life
place where
easier,
you are
or make
financially
you
stable.
keep in a
So you
position
should
where
be
you
able
are
to say, I
better
cannot afford
positioned to
XYZ
pursue
how you make
what your
money this
vision
moment. able to cut down your expenses. When people say to me that they don't earn enough money to save, I find that very ridiculous. Able to keep that's very bad for your financial health. So you should be able to save, right? No matter how small it looks, you should be able to set out every to cut down your expenses. Set out some amount of money. When people every income you get say to me that they don't earn enough money to save, I find that very ridiculous. Make a able to keep that's very becomes financial easier. So you should be able to save. Then the last, no matter how small, I think that's not the last, but you should be able to set out about every finances is cut down your expenses. Some amount of money. When people